Hi.
Hi, Rhea. I'm gonna make you co-host right away.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna rename myself. Okay. Um, I'm gonna turn on some music. Okay, we got some announcements. Okay. My computer is moving a little slow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
I see some people in the waiting room already. But we still have 5 minutes. So.
Okay. How are you feeling? You ready for another day of
Yeah.
survival?
Yeah. I like this music.
I do too. I'm intrigued with hang drums.
Oh, is that
I
what this is?
Yeah, the little ones that look like little metal orbs.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, they're about this. They're about maybe 14 inches in circumference. They're about this high and they're kind of like little orbs. And each little segment has a tone and you play it with your hands and your fingers.
Oh,
I,
cool.
I'm intrigued. I think I want to learn.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, like I said, I think I want to
Yeah.
learn. So we'll see.
Oh, I see Heidi.
Wow.
Um,
Should
do
we,
you know how to
when
set up
should,
the interpretation?
pardon me?
Oh, do you know how to set up the interpretation?
No.
Okay. Because
I
I
go
think,
to I go to interpreter and then I put Heidi's name in.
yeah, down at the bottom, there's a button like the world looking button. Um, but yeah, she might have to be admitted before they'll let you do that.
Okay. Wow, we got a lot of people coming.
Yeah.
English to Spanish.
Ah, I see it now. Nice.
One more minute. Should I let them in at like 2 minutes till?
Yeah, that sounds
Or
good.
just right at one?
I think, yeah, if we're ready, we can let them in early. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Heidi.
Hello.
Everybody having a nice weekend. I mean, well, a nice day. Pretty out.
It is. It's
Hello.
really pretty out.
Hello, Kimberly Ridgway. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
David, welcome. Hunter L. Hello, Heidi. Thank you for coming back. So good to see you. Hello there, Andrea.
Yeah, they're little patrons. Little patrons.
Hello, Pi.
Hello.
Glad to have you. Hello, Ray. Nice to have you again. Greetings, Florencia.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Diana. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome to our last week of survival school. It's been really informative and quite interesting. We have learned so much, and I'm so happy to have journeyed with all of you who have come consistently every week, and all of our amazing presenters and speakers and panelists as well. Rhea, would you be okay doing the agreements?
Sure. Yeah. And I see, yeah, Heidi has just put some information in the chat about interpretation.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have Spanish and English languages today. So if you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and see a button that says interpretation, and it has like a little globe symbol on it, and click that,
mhm.
then you can select a language, either English or Spanish. So if you speak Spanish and you want Spanish interpretation, select Spanish. And if you speak English and want English interpretation, select English. All right.
Thank you for doing that, Rhea.
Yeah, you're welcome. And yeah, Regina, do you have the group agreements up? I don't have them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can do them.
Okay.
I was just doing them from memory.
Okay.
So welcome, everyone. I just wanted to go over some agreements for our community today, our survival school community. That is, all truth is truth. We all come from different lived experiences. So what is true for me would not be true for someone else, but it doesn't make it invalid. Confidentiality, sometimes personal information. Greetings, Cora. I'm so glad you could make it. Sometimes personal information, stories get shared here. We ask that everybody honor the Vegas rule. What happens in survival school stays in survival school. If you are unclear about someone's share or some information, it's okay if you ask them, aside, ask them, is that something that I can talk to you about later? And therefore they'll let you know whether or not, they're available to speak on that. We're practicing a step up and a step back. We're on a pretty detailed agenda. So our speakers and panelists and presenters are so wonderful to come, and we have a lot of content to go over as well. So we're going to ask that everyone is mindful with their questions and answers in those timeframes, so that everyone can participate and our presenters can get everything in that they want to share with us today. If anybody has any access needs that we haven't spoken about, that we haven't posted as of yet, please let us know. And that feels complete for me, unless Rhea or anyone else, if you have anything you wanted to add for you to feel comfortable being in survival school today.
I'll just introduce myself to the people I don't know. I'm Rhea. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm an organizer at Senior and Disability Action, and I'm helping Regina with the survival school. So if anyone has anything they need and want to message me in the chat or or ask, I'm happy to help. And I guess another thing to add, just as a refresher, you guys probably know this because you've been here, but for people calling in on the phone, if you want to unmute yourself, it's *6, and to raise your hand, it's *9. And you can also use those same commands to mute yourself and lower your hand. So *6, mute or unmute, and *9, raise hand, lower hand. And if I mute you, it's because there's background noise and I probably don't know where it's coming from and might just mute everyone. So don't take it personally and feel free to unmute when you want to speak. And that we're recording this so we can share it with you guys and people who weren't able to make today's session.
Yeah, I'm still working on that piece, but thank you so much. I appreciate you, Rhea. So does anybody have anything that they wanted to share, that they wanted to add around community agreements or access needs? Rhea, did you want to post the agenda?
Yeah, I'm going to share the agenda,
Thank
today's
you so
agenda
much.
in the chat, and I'll also screen share it. All right, so I just put the link in the chat, and I will screen share it. Hopefully you can, those of you who can see it, I'll read it out loud for those who can't. So today is day 5 of survival school, May 4th, 2021. And our subjects today are technology and transportation. So from 1 to 110, we'll do welcome, attendance, and housekeeping that we're doing right now. At 110, we have a short icebreaker. At 115, we have Diana B. Coho will be speaking to us about the emergency broadband benefit. At 1:35, we'll have a short break for meditation and breath work led by Regina. Then at 1:40, we'll move into transportation and accessibility in the East Bay. We'll have a panel on transportation from 1:40 to 2:30. And the panel will include Pai Ra, who works at Senior and Disability Action as well, talking about pedestrian safety, Jasher Noland from Paratransit, and Kimberly Ridgway from AC Transit. And there will be time at the end for question and answer about all of those things about paratransit, AC transit, accessibility, pedestrian safety, and all of our panelists will be able to answer questions. And then we will have a short body break at 2:40. Time to use the bathroom, get water, get a snack, stretch, anything like that. And then we'll have a short time in breakout rooms at the end to work through some more scenarios about problem solving different issues that come up for people in the community. Yeah, so that's the agenda for today. I'm gonna stop share.
Does anyone have any questions about the agenda? Okay, it's going to be an exciting day. So I would like to get us started with some community building activities, icebreakers. So I have a great question, and we can popcorn and anyone can start and answer, and then you can call on someone else or I can call on someone else, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'd like to get in, hopefully we can get in 2 questions because these are kind of interesting. Okay. If you had to eat 1 meal a day for the rest of your life, what would that meal be? Pyra, would you like to go first?
You're picking on me already. Okay.
Already. So good to see you.
Is it a complete meal? Are you talking about a 5-course meal, or what are you calling about a lunch? What do you mean by a meal?
Whatever constitutes a meal for you.
I don't know. How about a typical egg cream with one of my favorite sandwiches I make?
What's that favorite sandwich, Pie?
Well, presently it's basically tuna fish, the pie style. I throw everything into it, including apples and raisins. Some recipe I got years ago. So that with a side order of I don't know, any chocolate chip cookie. How's that? My favorite lunch meal. And
Okay.
I'm assuming most people know what an egg cream is.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we all know what an egg cream is? Okay.
I don't. Tulumbuelu.
Well, being from upstate New York, I always was told how great these things from New York City. It's basically egg cream doesn't have any eggs and doesn't have any cream. It's club soda, a very good club soda with very good chocolate syrup, and it's mixed in such a way that you swear it's made with eggs and cream.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I was spoiled on that because somebody who moved up from New York City to California, he was living with me for a while, and he used to make them in New York City, and he was experimenting the best syrup out here, and so I got to be the tester.
Oh, lucky you, huh?
Yes. So should I pick the next person?
Sure. Thank you.
I will pick our mentor from Senior and Disability Action, Cora.
Okay, thank you, Pie. My menu for the rest of my life would be red beans and rice. Stick to your ribs and keep you healthy. Is what I would, and plenty of water.
Okay.
Thank
Okay. Could you choose someone, please?
I will choose Henrietta.
Okay. I'm with you. Hold on, Paya. Let me get this. Oh, there we go. I'm with you, Paya. Mine would be black beans and rice, and mixed vegetables. I mean, broccoli, cauliflower, all of those things, and maybe some cornbread. And that would be my meal, along with a lot of water. I think that I love beans and rice.
All right. Could you choose someone, Henrietta?
I don't know who's here.
Would you like me to choose for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, Diana Coho. If you had to eat 1 meal every day for the rest of your life, what would that meal be?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here today. I was kind of going down that same line, but I was thinking lentils and rice with all the veggies in there too, and a little bit of lemon and, pepper and stuff, and definitely a lot of water. So yeah, when she said red beans and rice, I was like, ooh. Think about that. I was, yeah, basically the protein and the rice and all that and the veggies was pretty similar thread here I see today.
Yeah, we got a lot of healthy people in here. That's so awesome.
Mhm.
Would you like to choose someone or would you like me to?
I'll just choose Hunter. I saw that person just join and I love the shirt and the whole festive mood there. So thank you.
That was my dad's shirt. I love it a lot.
Ah.
Yeah, and I've got a healthy answer too. I would do grill salads, which you grill all the toppings and then you put it on the spring mix. So you can mix it up with what's in season. And I really like fruits. So like grilled peaches and grilled nectarines on my salads with like nuts or like grapes or watermelon. Keep it really like juicy and interesting. Because I used to hate salads. I thought they were so boring. But if you put a whole other meal on top of it, then it's great actually.
Sounds good.
That does sound good.
Popcorn over to David.
Okay, I love healthy food, but I'm going to abandon healthy food for now in favor of my grandmother, who I miss very much, and her wonderful Eastern European Jewish cooking. So I will start out with her with a bunch of appetizers and vary them so that I won't get bored every day. An eggplant salad that she made. She made wonderful chopped liver, pickled peppers, but the heart of the meal will be sweet and sour stuffed cabbage, followed by honey cake. And that is absolutely not healthy, but I love it anyway. And I'll let someone pick next.
Okay, I'll choose Andrea.
I would have refried beans, enchiladas and tacos, and a salad with plenty of water.
Would you like to choose someone?
Beans on the
I will choose you, Regina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in love with this stir fry mixture of kale and mushrooms and red bell pepper and onions and carrots over some brown rice and quinoa noodles with this cashew chili pepper cilantro sauce that is amazing. I'm gonna make it tonight. I could eat it every day. That's my go-to. Have we chosen Heidi?
I don't think so.
You're up, Heidi.
Oh, interpreters don't participate.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, then Ray.
Hello, everybody. I just had it last week, and I could put different toppings of vegetables and meats, and I guess it would be pizza.
Yeah, I could do that every day too. And then I believe the last person would be Kim Ridgway.
Hands down, crab Benedict with country potatoes and bottomless coffee.
That sounds really wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
I'll give her 2 thumbs up on that one.
Thank you, everyone, for participating. I really like that question because for some reason we get to find out a little bit more about how people are through what they like to eat. So now I know a little bit about y'all. Thanks. So first up, our first presentation will be about the emergency broadband benefit. with presenter Diana B. Coho, the Consumer Affairs and Outreach Specialist with the Federal Communications Commissions.
Okay, thank you. Trying to do the share screen, but it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, I just made you a co-host.
Right. Okay, let's see. I think it's about to, let's see. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Right. Goodness gracious. Okay. Trying to get the slideshow to start. There we go. Well, thank you for inviting me here today. My name is Diana Coho, and I'm with the Federal Communications Commission in the Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau in the Consumer Affairs and Outreach Division. So today I have some slides about the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program to talk about what it is, who's eligible. The enrollment period was just announced. It will open on May the 12th, and some other tools that are available, such as some toolkits that were recently loaded on the site. So what this is a federal program to provide temporary discounts on monthly service for broadband for qualifying low-income households. And there's a couple ways people can save once they're enrolled in the program. Up to $50 a month discount for broadband service and associated equipment rentals. So modems and things like that can be counted into that up to $50 a month discount. Or for those living on tribal lands, it could be up to $75 a month discount on the bill. Another way to potentially save is the service providers that are participating in the equipment aspect of the program can offer up to $100 discount for laptop, desktop, and computer, as long as the consumer pays up to somewhere anywhere between $10 and $50 toward the purchase price. So it's kind of reminds me of kind of like a copay requirement there. A household is eligible if anyone in the household has received a Pell Grant, is approved to receive benefits under free and reduced school lunch program or the school breakfast program since COVID started. This is associated with the pandemic, and that's why it's a temporary benefit. If a household experiences substantial loss of income, such as losing a job or being laid off or furloughed, or somehow a substantial reduction of income, and the household for single filers earns below 99,000 or twice that, 198,000 for joint filers. There's also some participating providers that are already offering COVID-19 or low income programs to help discount the cost of broadband service. So those could potentially qualify someone for this benefit as well. Another way is through the Lifeline program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the Lifeline program's been around for quite a while. It's not associated with COVID, but there are a lot of similarities, between the low income and qualifying criteria between the two programs. Also, USAC, the Universal Service Administrative Company, administers the Lifeline program for the FCC, and they're also going to be administering the emergency broadband benefit. So people that are enrolled in Lifeline already, where they're receiving up to, there's different, it's tiers of participation, but it's generally somewhere between, say, like $5 and $8 or $9 per month on a phone bill. They meet certain income criteria, and that's the same for the emergency broadband benefit program. So this is a little different than people that had a recent loss of income because of COVID. This is more, a lot of these folks have been experiencing, economic loss or some type of income situation, and they qualify either through just the income being less than 135% of the federal poverty guideline, or there's listed programs such as SNAP, Medicaid, supplemental social security income, federal public housing, tribal programs are listed there on the website too. So if these folks are already enrolled, they just need to indicate that they also want to receive the emergency broadband benefit program. Just simply being enrolled in one of these programs, no one's going to be automatically enrolled in the emergency broadband benefit program. So these are like criteria to qualify, but you still have to go through the enrollment process. So a household can be a little bit simple or a little bit confusing depending on your situation. And this is similar probably to some other programs that you may be familiar with, and it's certainly similar with Lifeline. So a household can qualify because of an eligible dependent child. There could also potentially be more than one household at a single address. So of course that can create a red flag if multiple applicants come in at the same address, but we have this household eligibility worksheet that helps separate out who's living there, who's sharing expenses, and so on and so forth, so that multiple people could qualify. This also applies to apartment buildings, you know, homeless shelters, things like that, where there could be a number of people at the same address, but they're actually separate households. So multi-unit dwellings, again, oh yeah, nursing homes or assisted living. These are other examples of where it could, there could be many different households essentially at the same address, and it just has to be documented along with the application. There's also a situation, the second bullet on here, where there could be a landlord or property owner that has a contract for broadband access, and then it gets kind of divided up among the different households. So that could hopefully be worked out to help with, you know, help the residents of the eligible households to receive the discount on the bill. So the enrollment period was just announced. It's going to open on May the 12th. Again, it is a temporary program that was developed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it will end once either the funds run out or 6 months after Health and Human Services declares that the pandemic is over, whichever one, you know, comes first. And I already mentioned that USAC administers both programs, and they have set up this getemergencybroadband.org consumer website for people to enroll. There's some other consumer protections in here that we just wanted to touch on, so that people don't enroll in some sort of plan and then get like a surprise later on once the benefit runs out. So there was a lot of concern about that in the regulations and in the comments that we received. So there are some notification requirements along the way so that people realize, you know, when the program is coming to an end and what that means in terms of the cost of the services. Participating providers, again, when we say providers, we mean internet service providers. So a lot of people, you know, in the field, they're thinking healthcare providers, you know, assisted living providers. So this means who's providing the internet service. So there's different ways that people might get service, either through fixed broadband, through mobile devices, and that type of thing. One thing that I did want to point out is that with the device purchase program, it has to be either a laptop, a desktop computer, or a tablet. The up to $100 off the device purchase could not be applied to a mobile phone. So that's a question that you might get. We do have some pretty detailed FAQs up on the website that will, so our website is the fcc.gov/broadband benefit. And then the Get Emergency Broadband one, that's the USAC for enrolling people that are trying to get qualified for the service. So there's 3 ways that applicants can apply. One is through a broadband provider directly to learn about their application process. Another is through the getemergencybroadband.org website. And again, that's the one that USAC has. There's also a page on there that you can find who is providing state by state. And it will also have 2 columns. One is the type of service, so if it's fixed or wireless, and that means that they're providing the up to $50 off per month of the bill. And then the column all the way to the right has little check marks for the ones that are participating in the device aspect of the program to try and purchase a device at up to $100 discount along with that copay. So if you enroll with your provider, you can look them up by state. And again, it also will tell you if they're participating in the device aspect of the plan. You can apply directly online with the getemergencybroadband.org consumer portal and complete everything there. If you have supplying documentation, I think they have instructions for uploading that, and they're going to post a video soon that people can watch, and it goes through like screen how people can apply for the program. And for those who do not have online access, you can have it printed off. You can contact and request a printout, or participating providers could also print them out and provide consumers with the paper applications. And there's a mailing address to mail those in. Again, if that's the route you're going, it's important to remember to include the supporting documents. So if you have substantial loss of income, maybe some type of documentation about that, or if you're enrolled in one of those qualifying programs or the school lunch program or that type of thing, that's what we mean by supporting documents. So there's the USAC application. When it's filled out online, they have what's called the national verifier. So if someone's saying like that they participate in SNAP or one of the listed programs, that database is going to reach out to the others that would confirm that, and then give the applicant some information back to say like, yes, we found that this is accurate and now you're enrolled in the program. Online and mail-in may be asked to provide additional information, especially if they forgot to include it with the application up front. And there's some information online to show for the different ways that people qualify, what documents they're looking for. So we have some outreach toolkits that were recently added, and there's a few more that I think are being worked on and will be added soon. And I just wanted to talk about that just for a second. Sorry, I forgot to see exactly what time I started talking. So we're almost through this, but we do have the toolkits up there so that you can access them. There's a suggestion here that if you want to do any type of co-branding or tailoring, that you can do that. They fall in kind of 3 different buckets. One is social media, one is printouts, and one is videos. So American Sign Language video, for example, I'm not sure if that one's up yet, but it is in the works. Public service announcements, PowerPoints, there's fact sheets and flyers, and also draft social media posts and things like that, just to kind of get you started if that's a way that you want to reach out to the folks that you serve. There will be some of these translated into other languages. Most of the FCC materials in general, so here's some examples of some of the products, are usually in English and Spanish, but there are some other languages that these printouts are going to be translated into. And I think that's about it. There we go. Okay, so the languages are listed there in alphabetical order. And then the translated materials, it won't be everything in the toolkits, but the fact sheets, small info cards, we call them tip cards, and a quarter-page handout that could also be used like as a newsletter insert or like a draft article. this is important on the right. We do have the FCC 504 inbox. So if people have disabilities and they need things in Braille or some of these alternative formats that are more user-friendly for those with disabilities, that's where you would request that type of information. So this is the last slide. These are some of the websites that we touched on earlier. And I mentioned that there's the FAQ on our emergency broadband benefit page, and then the toll-free number and application, that last little bit there on the bottom right is the USAC line for helping people get enrolled. So thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, you can let me know, or Regina can let me know later, or you can always email us back, however you prefer, or just call the toll-free number if it's about enrollment or just, you know, other information that you're interested in. So thank you for having me.
Would you be able?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I do have a question.
Sure.
Was I understanding that you can enroll in both programs concurrently?
You mean a Lifeline and the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program?
Yes.
If you qualify, you can be enrolled in both
Okay.
programs. Absolutely. And if you're already in Lifeline, you can you don't have to reapply, you just have to opt in. So if someone's already in Lifeline, they're working with the service provider already, they can contact them, or if they want to try a different service provider, they're not bound to use the same one, but that's the type of stuff that USAC can help them sort through. And just so they know, if they're in already, they can also qualify for the broadband benefit. And the up to $50, that's kind of, it doesn't always cost $50. Maybe someone might be on a plan where it only costs 30 or 35. So a couple of things I forgot to say that I just want to really clarify is that this is not a program where people are going to get checks in the mail. You know, like last year, there were the checks that were coming from the government for people that didn't have a certain amount of income. So the money will not change hands. What you'll see once you're enrolled is a discount on the bill. So, and when it says up to $50, if your internet doesn't cost $50, maybe you're only paying 35 or 40. And this is particularly true with the bundled services. You know, some people have the cable TV, the phone, and the internet all on one bill. So the cable TV, some of that stuff has to be subtracted out because the emergency broadband benefit isn't paying toward that. So it could be possible that maybe the internet portion is less than $50. And in that case, they'll get the discount of what the internet's costing, but they're not going to get like the full 50 because they're not paying the full 50 toward internet. So hopefully that makes sense. They won't get like an extra check for $15 or something if their internet's only 35. So that's why the wording says like up to 50, because sometimes with the bundled services or depending what plan they're on, if it doesn't cost 50, then they won't get a full 50 off the bill.
Excuse me. Excuse me, I got it late. What are we talking about?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing the question. Could you repeat, maybe speak louder or type it in the chat? Or if someone else heard the question, could repeat it. I'm not sure if it's me.
I got it late.
Oh.
What are we talking about?
Sure. This is a federal program called the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. And it was passed as part of a COVID relief package by Congress. I'm with the Federal Communications Commission, and I presented some information and some websites that Regina will have access to, and she can maybe email you after this program's over. And I was just presenting an overview of that program. It's for low-income households to try to save on their internet bill during the pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Is there some contact information or toll-free number that you could just drop in the chat really quickly? Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming here and letting us know about the Wi-Fi that's available, the Wi-Fi service that's available, and an opportunity to even get a device.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for putting that in the chat.
Thank you so much. And don't hesitate to reach out if I can help you in the future. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
You as well. So we have a transportation and accessibility panel coming up in 1 minute. We went over a little bit. Is it okay if we do a little meditation and break after the panel
Yes.
so that we can be?
You are muted.
Is it okay with everyone if we go ahead and do our meditation and breath work after the panel, just so that we can be in integrity with our timing for the
Yes.
presenters today?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you all for being so flexible.
Couldn't
I
hear
appreciate-
us because you muted us.
Pardon me?
Previously, you couldn't hear us. We all got muted.
Oh, okay, thank you. So next is our transportation and accessibility in the East Bay panel. And our first presenter is Pyra. And he is with SDA. He is the Transportation Justice Organizer, Director and Organizer. And today, Pyra is going to be presenting on pedestrian safety.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just putting my notes in front of me. Of course, it's not cooperating. So anyway, how's everybody doing?
Fine. Good. I'm doing well.
As you can tell, I decided not to take, like most people tend to have a background of the upper part of the bridge, and I don't drive, so I decided to take the lower part of the bridge today.
Good.
So just a little background first about Senior and Disability Action's transit or transit justice program. Back in 1992, SDA, at that time known as Senior Action Network, was formed in 1992, and it was targeting, and it was organized or put together by retired union members. And they had three major issues they wanted to deal with. One was healthcare plus Social Security. They combined the two. Housing, because we're already in the 80s, we started having housing crisis. And then transportation, and transportation basically around pedestrian safety. And at that time, there was no pedestrian safety program in the city per se, and no organizations really advocating for it. So in 1992, when they formed one of the programs was the Pedestrian Safety Task Force. That was back in 1992. And from that time, many things happened. We helped put together the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Committee under the city. We guided the city into having their own Pedestrian Safety Task Force, finally, program. We, what else? We created a pedestrian master plan. Of course, Oakland got theirs first, so we ended up being second with that. We also called the pedestrian master plan over here the Better Streets plan, which which I call the BS plan, but I won't go into that right now. And we help promote Transit First. We had such campaigns like the Dirty Dozen, where we went out to various intersections, the worst intersections, and worked with the city how to improve those intersections. And those are the things we started out with. And then in more recent history, we were lead advocacy for free muni for seniors and people with disabilities. We got the crossing time at intersections changed, so we have longer crossing times for seniors and people with disabilities. We worked on such things as not increasing the muni fare, and those are some of the things we've done recently. And now we're working on things. There's so many things when it comes to pedestrian safety, because we also talk about muni. So since the pandemic has started, we're now working on things like accessibility, like in the Golden Gate Park. Accessibility when it turns up the latest new programs called Shared Space and Slow Streets. Now in Oakland, you don't call it shared spaces. You call it Flex Streets, and we get into that. I don't know why it's called Flex instead of Shared. We're also working on all various issues with paratransit. And David later on will probably ask some questions about that, since he's a big paratransit advocate in the East Bay. So that's a brief, very quick history. What I want to really talk about is what's going on both on East Bay and in San Francisco. It's called Shared Spaces and Slow Streets. I asked a question. Anybody know of these terms? Or also in Oakland, they call Flex Streets. Anybody heard about these programs?
No.
Flex Streets in Oakland, which we call shared spaces in San Francisco, it's when a business, primarily businesses, restaurants have their eating sites on the street or on the sidewalk or both. Due to the pandemic, most restaurants weren't allowed to open up and people could eat inside. So to make it so the businesses could survive, they moved the eating the tables out to the sidewalks and the streets. And there's various locations. I don't have the list with me in Oakland, but you can there's a bunch of them also in San Francisco. So that's called the shared spaces, or in Oakland, Flex Streets. Also, because of the pandemic, people still wanted to go outside, but they wanted to do social distancing. Of course, with masks, they give much more space between people. They closed down, or they made streets slower so people can walk into the streets, or have more space than the sidewalks to walk down, and that's called slow streets. And there's a number of those also in Oakland. It's the same thing. Oakland and San Francisco started out at the same time. I see your hand. I'll be right with you. And basically, to slow the traffic down, also give more spaces to pedestrians so they can be out in the open, not cooped up in their homes, but at the same time maintain social distancing. And they were able to do this both in Oakland and San Francisco without going through the normal routine of having hearings, having CEQA, environmental control studies and everything, because it was an emergency. And we all still not, as long as we're not in the yellow or lower, we're still under emergencies in Oakland and San Francisco, so they can do that. And before I go any further, I saw a hand. You want to do that now, or you want to do that after my presentation?
The question was, is that why some of the streets out here have the, I'm not sure, those, they're blocked off?
Yes, that's called.
The signs up, those that they use for construction, they're blocked off at either end.
Yeah, it could be. Well, in the past, it was mainly construction, but they're doing this and to be no construction just to give more space for people to walk around and social distancing and use of the mask. So that was the purpose of that. So Oakland and San Francisco did it at the same time, but did it under emergency procedures in that they didn't have to go through the traditional, let's have hearings, let's go do studies, let's do pilot programs. They said on emergency, we need to address the health issues and get people out on the street. And that's how it happened. What's happening now is that everybody's getting into, I guess we're getting into the yellow, and to the point that in June, by June, both San Francisco and Oakland can open up pretty much everything. So the question is, what's going to happen to the slow streets and the shared spaces? Because the emergency invoked on the emergency plan no longer will be in existence, and these are considered temporary things. Are we going to make them permanent, which means go through all the procedures? Are we going to make these a permanent program, or are we going to just close them all down? Okay, so I know in Oakland, they're talking about the flex streets and whether or not to keep them. And in fact, one of the policymakers under the mayor is basically doing a report and would submit that to the council within the next couple of months on that report, what to do with their flex streets plan. That's the sidewalks and parklets. Parklets are things when you build out a platform onto the sidewalk, onto the street, and you can have more seating outside. Are they going to keep it? If they're going to keep it, what form would that be? Also, will it be still free, or will they start charging the businesses, et cetera? So they're looking at that. The same thing is happening in San Francisco. They're already what we call the MTA, which runs Muni, and street planning. They're starting the procedures of whether or not to be permanent or not, and what they look like. Okay, so I'm going to stop there because I'm going to like to ask everybody again, if you have seen the flex streets, which is the sidewalk eating, and have you seen slow streets? And quickly, give me, do you like them? You don't like them? What do you like about them? What you don't like them? Just a quick little survey here, especially since I go on in Oakland. What do you see about them? Do you like them or not, and why?
I really like them, but I don't really care much for them because I've seen one on two streets. One happened to be in the Fruitvale district. Someone got drunk. It was wee hours of the morning and ran it down. And it kind of makes me wonder if, someone was in it, did they get hurt? And I don't want to see that happening.
That was in the news, actually. I heard that. That was in the news. There was somebody hit a parked car and the parklet. Yes, I heard about that.
Well, it's happened to, in a few different ones, and that just makes me nervous because I would hate to see it happen when people are outside having lunch.
Anybody else? Nobody's seen these things?
I've seen them. The question is, do I like them or?
What do you like about them? What you don't like about them? What are you concerned about them? What's the things that was great about them?
I think it's great that businesses are able to stay open and create some revenue through people patronizing their businesses. That's about it.
Well, I know there's some in Chinatown, and I know there's some on Broadway. The question is, do you feel comfortable when there's eating on the sidewalk or these partlets on the in the parking zone? Do you feel like you have enough room to walk through those areas? Is it accessible? because that's one of the issues that was brought up, whether or not to make them permanent or not. Are they accessible for people, seniors and people with disabilities? Or
Well,
there should be changed?
I saw them. I saw them in Oakland with the tables were too hard.
So if I hear you right, it was difficult for you to get through some of those parklets or some of those sidewalk seating.
No, the tables were too hard. Okay.
Monique, are you saying the tables are too high?
Yes.
Do you use a mobility device like a wheelchair, a walker, or anything like that?
A wheelchair.
Okay. David, I know that you're visually impaired. Have you had any problem with these things? Because the reason I bring that up, the Lighthouse for the Blind had issues with them before we even talked about this program.
Oh yeah, there are some areas that are very narrow. So basically you don't have very much room to walk and you have to be careful because you might collide with the tables or something, you know. And the other thing is that I've noticed when you eat in those places, and it's just psychologically when the cars and buses are swirling, whizzing around you, it just feels very uncomfortable. But that's a psychological hang up. You know, we'd have to get used to that. But it's kind of strange to be sitting in the street actually eating, and there are cars and buses all over the place right near you. And in some ways they're too close for comfort. But yeah, I think that walking around can be difficult. It's not always the case, but it is often the case especially where there are a lot of tables and other obstacles besides tables that are, you know, that are in the middle of the sidewalk. That can be difficult.
So you're bringing up the same issue that Andrea brought up about, like there was a couple of them that actually got hit by cars. That whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any opinion about these things, like Harrietta or Ray or Shirley, June?
I like the point that David brought up about sitting in those, because I haven't yet. And it may be a psychological thing, but it seems very real when you're actually out in the street and cars are coming closer, because there's not like a parking space to be a buffer. There's not like a bike lane to be a buffer. You're just right there. So whatever the driver gauges as safe distance from that structure is how close they're going to come.
So the issue comes up, what type of street you're putting it on. They've been around for a while. The parklets have been around for a while, for at least 10 years. I've seen them at Divisadero Street in San Francisco, on Valencia Street, which has a bike lane still. And they were spotted here and there, but now there's a huge concentration in Oakland and in San Francisco. And in the past, before the pandemic, they were only on streets that had slow moving traffic. So as they're considering what should be the criteria, that sounds like an issue to bring up. What kind of traffic are you building these on what roads and streets you're building these on?
Well, I like the bike lane because I'm in the electric wheelchair and I like to use the bike lane.
Okay.
Because it goes faster.
So basically, we've been talking about shared spaces and flex. Anybody have any comments about slow streets, which is basically where they couldn't even be closing down the street, but usually it's to slow down the street, and basically they make it like a one-way street, so the traffic gonna go one way, or they do it in such a way that they slow down the traffic speed to 5 miles per hour.
It is Hayward.
What was that?
That was my husband giving his 2 bits.
I said,
We're in the kitchen
we just
together.
said Hayward did that in B Street. Basically one-way street, and then all the way down they have, the restaurants can put their, out on the sidewalk, all the way down on either side. So they narrowed the street and then they put parking on either side of the street, plus they allow the restaurants to come out onto the street. Sidewalk.
It's kind of, when you were talking about, the cars go by and my mind was taking me to Paris and France. Not that I've been there. It's just kind of like dawned on me that there's some that is, it's during this pandemic, if that was the only way that you could go out and sit down somewhere, but it's unfortunate you have to put up with the cars that's going to go by you, and you either going to put up with it, or I mean, frankly, I wouldn't be caught with my husband sitting there eating with the fumes of the car is going to go by me, and it wouldn't make any sense, because then he'll just stop me in my tracks and say, forget it, we're going to go pick up another place there, we're not going to sit here. I mean, it's kind of unnerving. I could tell that if like Paris and France, let's say, the scenery is supposed to be romantic, but the people, the cars go by, you're supposed to be having your wine and all that, but then who wants to drink wine and any knowing that the cars are going 100 miles an hour? I mean, that's basically what in the foreign countries that they I heard they went up, they're driving like 100 miles an hour. I mean, I'm just trying to say, I would be caught. I mean, we're a little younger, but I think we would have to choose wisely where we would like to. If that kind of scenery isn't good for you, maybe we should think about Cheesecake Factory or
Thank you. Thank you for those perspectives. You're doing really good, Pi. Thank you, June, for sharing that.
Am I in my time zone, or am I done now?
You're in your time zone. And for everybody, remember, we do have 10 minutes for a
Okay, I have a
Q&A.
quick question.
At the end, we have another presenter that's starting at 2 o'clock right now.
Okay.
So we're going to go into a Q&A at the end between 2:30 and 2:40. So everyone save your questions and save your comments, because it's going to get really super exciting with all these other panelist presentations as well. Thank you, Pi, for your patience. I really appreciate you.
No problem, Doctor. No problem, Dr.
Joshua Nolan with Paratransit.
Hello there, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? This is
Excuse me,
Hello.
which paratransit?
This is East Bay Paratransit.
Oh, you're with East Bay,
Worked
thank
in
you.
paratransit management for
thank you.
5 years and currently oversees the customer service and eligibility departments. Joshua, thank you for coming today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I actually did have a presentation. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Yes, I'll make you co-host right now. You're ready to roll.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Okay, perfect. All right, so again, I am Jasher Nowland, the Quality Assurance Manager here at East Bay Paratransit. And, I do appreciate being asked to give a presentation for our service out here in the East Bay. All right, so I know I have until 2:15, so I'm going to try to cram as much information as possible into the presentation, and hopefully I won't exceed the time limit. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, so East Bay Paratransit, what I'm gonna go over, just a few things. I'm gonna go over the overview of, what East Bay Paratransit is, who we are, how it started. I'm gonna briefly go over the eligibility process as well. And I will explain what the process was, pre-COVID, what the process is, right now during COVID-19, and hopefully what the process will look like post-COVID as well. I might touch up on that just a little bit. All right, and using the service, like what to expect when riding on East Bay Paratransit. All right, so what is East Bay Paratransit? All right, so East Bay was established in 1990 by AC Transit and BART to meet the Americans with Disabilities Act requirements, which is the ADA. All right, public transit service for people who are prevented from using regular buses or trains due to a disability or a disabling health condition. And that's really important to note, because you have to be prevented from using the fixed route service. Some might feel that, it's just, it's better for them, for their situation, because, they're not prevented from using the fixed route service, but it may be easier to have a bus come directly to your home. All right, just because, it may be easier doesn't mean that you would qualify necessarily for paratransit. You must be prevented from using the fixed route system. All right, and also for paratransit services, eligibility is not based on age as well. So once you hit 65 or 66, you're not automatically eligible for paratransit services. It must be due to a disability or disabling health condition, again, that prevents you from using the fixed route service. All right, and what does it do? Transports riders, again, from origin to destination in accessible vans. So unlike fixed route services, the buses have specific stops that they have to go to. For paratransit services, it is origin to destination within the service area, where the vehicle can pick you up, from your home or wherever you want to get picked up from, and take you to your final destination. And just like fixed route services, it is a shared ride service too. All right, so here's our service area. You could see there in the black, Alameda, Albany, Berkeley, Piedmont, Richmond, Hayward, Union City. And again, our service area is within 3/4 of a mile of an AC Transit bus or a bus stop or BART station. It's important to note that we also service San Francisco. However, we do not do trips that originate in San Francisco and end in San Francisco. It must originate in either San Francisco or the East Bay, and the destination has to be either in San Francisco or the East Bay. So if you're getting picked up from San Francisco, you got to be coming to the East Bay. All right, and if you're getting picked up in the East Bay, you have to be going to San Francisco. San Francisco to San Francisco trips is handled by another transportation agency, San Francisco Paratransit. All right, we also do handle regional trips, and what we consider a regional trip is a trip that is outside of East Bay Paratransit service area that's going to other Bay Area counties. So this differs from when we service San Francisco, because again, we go directly to San Francisco. All right, but to Marin County, Contra Costa County, Santa Clara County, we do transfer with other paratransit agencies. So we connect with the paratransit company servicing your desired destination. There's a meet point where we will take you to have you meet with the other agency. You'll alight our vehicle, then you're aboard their vehicle, and they'll take you to your final destination, as long as it's within their service area as well. All right, these trips must be booked at least 48 hours in advance, at least 2 days in advance. And it's very important Some connecting agencies have what we call a drop and roll policy. Now, East Bay Paratransit, for most of the regional service that we provide, our driver will wait with you until the connecting agency arrives. Not every agency offers that service. So that's very, very important to note. All right, so fares. So you can see our fare is based on distance of trips. Any trip that's within 12 miles is $4. Anything that exceeds 12 miles up to 20 is $6. And anything that exceeds 20 miles is $7. Travel to and from San Francisco is distance-based and costs between $6 and $10, depending on where you start and where you end. However, San Francisco trips that go beyond the BART service territory, meaning your destination or your origin is outside of the 3/4 of a mile of a San Francisco BART station, that you also will pay an additional Muni paratransit fare, which will be an additional $2.50. All right, fares continued. Your fare, when you call to book your ride, you will know what your trip is going to cost. Your reservation agent will confirm that with you during booking. You have to pay once the driver arrives and you're boarding the vehicle. You can pay in cash, you can pay with tickets, or a combination of both. If you're paying with cash, please bring exact change, because drivers do not carry cash and they won't exchange and give you any change or anything like that. All right, for tickets, you can purchase tickets in denominations of $4 and $1, and they do come in books of 10. All right, the eligibility process. So I'm gonna just go over one slide for now, just to let you know how do you become eligible for East Bay Paratransit services. So the first step is you turn in an application, all right, to our eligibility department. And once an application has been received, you can then book what we call an IPA, which is an in-person assessment, where our eligibility analysts will meet with you. You'll have an interview, and they'll assess, they'll get all the information that they need to make an assessment on whether or not you are prevented from using the fixed route service. And they have up to 21 days once you've completed your in-person assessment to make a determination on whether or not you are eligible to use East Bay Paratransit services. The longest eligibility that you can have is 3 years. So no one is given eligibility that exceeds 3 years. After 3 years, everybody must reapply. Now, some people don't get 3 years. Maybe they have a temporary disability, and they're expected to improve in 6 months or a year, then they would have 1 year eligibility. And if their functionality hasn't improved, their mobility hasn't improved, then they'll have to apply again and go through another assessment. All right, so that's what we're doing before COVID. During COVID, we're actually doing phone interviews. So you will receive a phone interview and receive a little more information because we're not open to the public at this time. So you can still apply, and you still can receive services. It will just be a phone interview. All right, using the service and what to expect. So our customer service and reservation hours, we are open every day, even on holidays, even on weekends, it doesn't matter. Between 4 a.m. and 1 a.m. every day, you can call our customer service line and get one of our agents on the phone. All right. Now, reservations is different. Reservations are open every day as well. However, only between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. All right. And trips must be booked at least 1 day in advance. So you can't call the same day and make a reservation for that day. You have to call at least 1 day in advance. And you can call up to 7 days in advance as well. All right, here are some quick tips for riding. Trips can be provided for any purpose. It doesn't have to be a doctor's appointment, doesn't have to be grocery shopping. You can just want to go to the park and take a walk. That's absolutely fine. You know, there's also no limit to how many trips that you can schedule each day. Pickup windows. Now, when you book a reservation, you will be given a pickup window of when to expect the driver to arrive. For example, it would be 8 to 8:30, you know, 9 to 9:30, 10:15 to 10:45. Be ready. Drivers are only allowed to wait 5 minutes for a passenger. All right, and that's very important to note. So if you're told between, you know, 8 and 8:30 and the driver arrives at 8:10, the driver will have to leave at 8:15. All right. Again, no same day reservations, and we also are not able to accommodate changes that happen for the same day. The night before, you can receive reminder calls if you want, as well as imminent arrival calls. We can also notify you once your driver is close, and any rider can request to use the lift, not just those who are using a mobility device. All right, so even if you're ambulatory and you want to use the lift, you have every right to do so. All right, a few more tips. Drivers are not allowed to enter a residence, and they cannot go past the lobby of a public building. All right, drivers are not allowed to carry or lift riders or wheelchairs. All right, the driver can assist with up to 2 packages that can be no longer than grocery bags. Riders must avoid no-shows and late cancellations of reservations. That's really important. If you make a reservation, call us at least, you know, as soon as you know you need to cancel, you should let us know. But try to, you know, the latest that you want it to be is no more than, you know, you don't want it to be within an hour of the start of your pickup window. All right, drivers can only provide door-to-door assistance when it's requested and it is safe. Companions and PCAs are welcome, and rider's guides containing information and policies are provided to East Bay every year. I do have a few other slides, but I see it's 2:15. I don't know if you want me to stop or if you want me to quickly try to breeze through those.
Yeah.
It'd be 3 more slides.
Can I ask one question?
I'm going to have to ask you to stop there, Jasher. We
Okay.
do have a 10-minute panel at the end that you could go ahead and just whip those through if you don't mind. I'd
Yeah,
like to
that's
be on
perfect.
time
That's
for the-
fine.
Thank you. I'd
No
like to be on time for the next presenter. Everyone, jot down your questions, save them for, we have another 15-minute presentation, and then all of our panelists will be here to answer all of your questions.
Well,
So
I won't be able to stay. I can't stay, so okay. I can't stay, so okay. I guess I won't get my question.
I'm sorry, Monique, what?
I can't stay until the end.
Oh, okay. So you'd like to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Monique.
Okay. Okay. When I'm out there on time and you're late, and I gotta stay at there for like 2 hours or an hour. And I'll get sit out there for an hour, 2 hours, and y'all don't come. I don't think that's right.
It sounded like you said that there's been a time where we didn't show up for an hour or 2 hours. Is that right?
Yes. And I was sitting out there, and then when y'all come, I still got paid $4, and I missed my appointment.
Yeah, we do have a you know, you have the ability to call our customer service department and make complaints. We do have a department for that as well. And anytime that we make a mistake, we will make every good faith effort to try to rectify that situation. So in the event that that happens, I would ask that you contact us immediately so that we can make sure that we try to make it right. If we made a mistake, we will try to do our best to get that corrected. That's not, you know, that's not the service that we expect to provide. So again, anytime that any situation occurs like that, you need to, you know, I would ask that you let us know immediately because we might be able to fix it that day.
Well, y'all need to work on that because it happened a lot. So.
Yeah, we don't, that shouldn't be the case. But if you're not communicating that to us and we're not aware of the situation, it's hard for us to be able to identify it and come up with solutions. So I would just say, again, anytime that that happens, I'm someone that I really believe in following through. Just let us know so I can make sure that I get my team to work on it so that we can make it better in the future.
I hear you, but okay.
Thank you, Joshua.
Sorry, thank you.
Can I ask you to take down your presentation for our next panelist? They need to screen share as well. Thank you.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
I think I can do it. Hold on.
Can you? Okay.
I think so. Yep, it gave me the power.
Oh,
all right.
All right, you got the power.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kim Ridgway. I am the Senior Program Specialist in the Accessible Services Department for AC Transit. Today, I will be giving us short overview about AC Transit services, including bus accessibility, information about Clipper cards, as well as the district response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And hopefully I can get through this presentation in enough time you get some of your meditation minutes back. So AC Transit service area covers Alameda County and Western Contra Costa County. There are two types of service, the local service and trans-based service. Your local service is the buses that travel within and between the cities in the service area, including a rapid, it provides faster travel with bus stops that are further apart. That is our 72R that runs from Jack London Square in Oakland to Contra Costa College in San Pablo. We also have the Tempo bus, or what people refer to as the BRT. That is our 1T line that runs from Uptown Oakland to the San Leandro BART station. This system uses bus-only lanes for faster travel, and it also uses raised platforms for same level boarding. Our Transbay lines are the commuter lines that provide service over the bridges, the Dumbarton Bridge, the San Mateo Bridge, and the Bay Bridges. So Clipper, I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of Clipper. It is the reloadable all-in-one smart card that is used for electronic fare payment across 22 Bay Area agencies. The benefit of the Clipper card is that you can board any participating agency seamlessly without the worry for exact change or other fare media like paper tickets. There are 4 types of Clipper cards: the full adult fare card, the youth card, the senior Clipper card for those who are 65 and older, and the RTC Clipper card for people with disabilities between the ages of 19 and 64. And today I only will be talking about the senior card and the RTC Clipper card. So again, the senior Clipper card is available to those who are age 65 and older. The card is free. You just have to add cash to ride. There is no renewal fee for the card. Once you get it, you never have to reapply to the region. You can apply via mail, email, fax, or in person at a participating agency. For more information about the card, and you can download an application at www.clippercard.com. The RTC card, the Regional Transit Connection card, is available to anyone with a disability and to seniors who are age 65 or older who require an attendant. The cost for this card is a $3 application fee. There is a $5 fee for replacement or lost cards, and there is a renewal for this card. So there's a $3 renewal fee every 5 years, except if the individual has a permanent disability, you never have to renew the card. You will receive information from the region, which is MTC, who oversees the program, Metropolitan Transportation Commission. They will send information to you just to make sure that your information is up to date. So if you've moved or something like that, they want to make sure that they have that information on file. If you do currently have an RTC card, and when your RTC card expires, the moment you turn 65, the region will automatically send you a senior Clipper card. It's the same benefit, except you never have to worry about renewing the card. Except for the fact that if you are a senior, but you require an attendant, then you would remain on the RTC card. Again, for additional information about RTC and how to apply, you can visit 511.org, click Transit, then click RTC discount card. For AC Transit, we offer a 50% discount on all cash fares for senior and people with disabilities. The full adult local ride fare is $2.50. However, with proof of age or disability, the cash fare is $1.25. However, if you have a Clipper card, a senior or RTC Clipper card, the full fare would be $1.12. So the region wants you on Clipper, so they're giving you an additional discount. The full fare adult ride for Transbay is $6. The cash fare would be $3. And AC Transit also offers a monthly pass that can be uploaded to a senior Clipper card or RTC card, or you can use a monthly sticker on the RTC card only, and that is $34. We also offer a day pass, which is the discounted day pass is $2.75 cash. You have to purchase that on board or at a Tempo station, and you can ride unlimitedly throughout the day on local rides until 3:00 a.m. If you have a Clipper card, you get an additional discount. So your day pass would be $2.50, and it's automatically applied to your Clipper card. So you would board the first bus for $1.12, board a second bus for $1.12. You get on your third bus, you'll be charged 6 cents, and now your Clipper card is kicked in, and you can ride unlimitedly until 3 a.m.
Wow.
AC Transit accessibility. So all of our buses are accessible. The buses are designed to accommodate the needs of seniors and disabilities with priority seating, which is clearly marked. It's usually the first section of seats behind the driver that are usually aisle facing, and they are floor mounted, meaning that you don't have to step up onto a step in order to sit in a seat. There are 2 wheelchair securement areas on each bus. Passenger ramps, and again, these are passenger ramps. So if you need them, it's not specifically for mobility devices. If you need a ramp, the driver will deploy. There are also kneelers on every bus, and that is the mechanism that levels the bus to the height of the curb in case it's difficult to step up onto a step. There are also bridge plates installed on every Tempo or BRT bus for safety boarding in the raised platform areas. We have handrails throughout each bus and on the back of every seat, as well as text messaging signs and automatic vehicle announcements, or the AVA system on the bus. The text messaging signs and AVA system are visual and verbal messages that identify high ridership stops, major landmarks, transfer points, and announces the bus and the destination when the driver pulls into the bus stop. It also provides any safety messages or important system updates. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the CDC recommendations, and according to federal and state regulations, AC Transit has implemented several policies and procedures. First, masks are required on all buses. We do have hand sanitizer and face masks on board for passengers' use as needed. Mobility devices will be secured upon request. So during the pandemic, there is no requirement to have your mobility device secured, but if you request it, the driver must secure. There's also seat limitations, which was instituted in April 2020 to accommodate physical distancing. So 6 passengers max on a 30-foot coach, 10 passengers on a 40-foot coach, 16 passengers on a 60-foot coach, and 24 passengers on a double-decker. Once the board count is reached, operators will bypass the stop. However, the external head sign will convert to drop off only, alerting that the bus will not stop. The operator will continue to recognize stop requests for those who are on board so that they can deboard at their requested stop. AC Transit's Health and Safety Action Plan is designed to exceed current guidelines and recommendations. This includes an enhancement of all sanitation procedures. We sanitize each coach at the close of daily service. This includes driver compartments, fare boxes, clipper card readers, handrails, seats, and all other hard surfaces on board. There's daily flogging and disinfectant of the vehicles with non-toxic antiviral sprayers and foggers. There's filtered and cleaner air on board with the new HVAC enhanced system, which filters air through every 20 seconds. Daily sanitation of each AC Transit facility and bus yard. Every bus operator is supplied with personal protective equipment, including sanitizers, gloves, masks, face shields, and we have also installed a plexiglass shield that covers the driver compartment. We've also implemented an employee and rider education and awareness outreach program, which include internal and external messages, safety messages, onboard ad cards, social media posts, and press releases. We also have a web page that is specifically dedicated to providing information and updates during this health crisis that can be found on the AC Transit website at actransit.org/COVID-19. So should you need to contact customer service, there are several ways that you can do so. If you have a commendation, a suggestion, a complaint, you can speak with a customer service representative by calling 510-891-4777, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., or Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also submit your feedback in writing by visiting actransit.org and clicking customer service. Specifically, when you're experiencing service issues like pass-ups, driver conduct, you want to get your complaint into the system as quickly as possible through customer service. They will immediately enter that into the database and assign that complaint to the appropriate division and superintendent so that that individual can investigate and then follow up with you. Also, at our general offices, the Customer Service Center is now reopened. The business hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you can go to that center to apply for Clipper Card, purchase passes, purchase East Bay Paratransit tickets, or should you need the Lost and Found. Please note, though, that the Lost and Found is by appointment only and is 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. That is my presentation. Thank you for your time. Again, I'm Kim Ridgway, Senior Program Specialist for AC Transit. And of course, I'll be sticking around for the question and answer period. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Now we have 10 minutes to ask all of our presenters, Jasher Nolan, Pyra, and Kim Ridgway, any questions that you've been saving up.
I have a question now on the disabled card, the P. There's a red P. Does that stand for permanent disability or what is that? Because I have one on mine and I never understood what it meant.
That is exactly right. It's for permanent disability.
Oh, okay.
So when you apply for an RTC card, sometimes kind of like what Jasher was talking about at Paratransit, there are certain levels of eligibility. So there may be someone who, let's say they broke both of their legs, but they know that they're going to be able to, they won't be eligible for the RTC card in like 2 years. So they wouldn't have the P on their card.
Okay, well, mine, well, I have, well, why do they make me do mine every 3 years when I renew it and not for every 5 years?
So the region went to every 5 years, I want to say in 2018. Do you know what your current
I just had it, I just sent
expiration?
the paperwork to do it renewed, but I had did it 2 years ago. The first time it said, 3 years. So I had sent it in like a month early and they only did it for 2 years. And that was 2 years ago.
Then I am not sure. I would, because again, if you have a P on your card, it should be every 5 years. And then 2, you shouldn't be paying to renew. You should just be updating your contact info. So if that is the case, there's a number on the back of your RTC card. If I would suggest that you give them a call and say, hey, what's the deal?
Okay, I'm glad. I could see, now I know, because on there, there's a date. And on the date on there, there's the expiration. It's every 3 years on mine. To renew it, it says every 3 years. And I was kind of like, well, I thought it was something different. But I will be calling when I get the card again. I'm going to see what the date is on there as far as the expiration. And if there is an issue, I will call. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And you said I don't have to do anything. I mean, as long as that P is on there.
You got it. Yeah, you're good to go.
Thank you.
I have a question for Pyra about the shared spaces and flex streets. And when you said they're opening up everything in June, is that to 100% capacity?
My understanding is that I don't know if it's 100% or not. I just know it might be 100%, but very close to 100%. And that's when the emergency declaration is supposed to end, when we go into yellow. And since there's space at slow streets or in Oakland flex streets were all created during emergency declaration, that's when it's supposed to phase out. And it's supposed to be a phase out period of time. Each city has a different phase out period. So basically, the businesses don't just all of a sudden just say, okay, I can't do this anymore. They're allowed to do it until they come up with a decision whether or not to continue with the programs or not.
Okay, because I don't know if capacity would be a factor for them to think about.
It is a factor. In fact, before the pandemic, there was places already using the parklets, but it was a little harder to get the parklets as opposed, and they would have to go through community hearings and stuff like that to get one. During the pandemic, which we still are part of, you didn't have to go through the hearings. They just apply for it, and the city pretty much looks at the traffic and stuff and just gave it to without public hearing and stuff.
So now they're going to use the public hearing process to evaluate whether or not they should keep them.
Right. And also they're looking at the guidelines and is there any part of the application process that should they change? Should they start charging for it? How much they'll put in public hearing on that, which means if somebody can apply for it, then they might be contested, then it has to go to public hearing. It involves also things like another program called ISCOT, which it's an old program in San Francisco, basically where it's a group of agencies, including the firemen and the police, talk about whether or not to close the street or they might get involved with parklets too. I don't know what the process is in Oakland for that. I just know they're going to write a report and submit it to the council how they want to do it if they want to continue on.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm curious about that, especially if we're opening up in June and the weather's warmer. How does that affect capacity versus if we were doing it in winter? where
Right.
most people would want to be inside. So yeah,
And
I
it's
will be.
also predicted. It's predicted we're going to open up in June too.
Ah, that's the word. Okay, so nothing is like cemented or like for sure yet. So we still have a lot of room. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
I have a couple of questions for our paratransit specialist, Joshua. And it's coming from the more of the nerd in me because I'm from the old paratransit. I was the contracts compliance officer during with the first two brokers in San Francisco. So from '85 to 2000, during the time when Francis Assant, Jay, you know Francis, oh, good guy, or Claudia White was doing the books. Know her too during those days. So certain questions I have on the no-shows. How many no-shows are you allowed before you say, you're going to have to be suspended or something? Or is there a limit on no-shows?
Yeah, it's, can you hear me?
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
perfect. Yeah, so 6 no-shows, and your no-shows have to exceed 20% for you to be considered eligible for a suspension. Yeah.
Great. I don't know if San Francisco is going back and forth on this. There was a time, and maybe they get back to it again. If a van was going to be over an hour late, they would call up the customer and said, well, there's an option. You can wait for the van still, or we can put you on a taxi. Does AC Transit have anything like that, or they just keep on trying to get the van there?
We, as of right now, we try to get the van there. In the past, we were using taxis, but we haven't used taxis in a very long time. Definitely during the pandemic. So as of right now, our dispatchers, they just have to get to it. If that driver is not going to arrive, they need to find another driver that can get there. So we really try to avoid that as much as possible. We actually track that, how many times that our driver has been late over 60 minutes. And it's a very, very low number and has been for a while. So, dispatchers, that's their main job, is to prevent that from happening. So we haven't had to dispatch any taxis in quite some time.
And with the pandemic, your on-time reliability is much better right now. Because of
that's probably across the nation. I'd probably say everyone would say yes.
Now, just one more thing. Don't hold it against me.
No,
I'm so old school that I was involved with the application process and developing it. Because in San Francisco, we were the first with paratransit. We had a one-page application. Basically, do you need it or not? That was basically what the doctor said.
Okay.
But when AC Transit and other counties decided all go in, we all decided to use the same application. I see yours is still the same as the time. So before the pandemic and after the pandemic, are you going to be bringing back the interviews, the in-person interviews for that? Because I know you're doing everything by phone, but it was an important part of the application process to bring somebody in and have a one-on-one interview.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We anticipate that to be starting, especially with everything beginning to open up. It's probably time to start considering that again. So yes, absolutely, we will.
And
Good
I want to finish this with a compliment. During the old days, when we're trying to work and see how this whole thing is going to work in the Bay Area, AC Transit and Golden Gate Transit stepped up to the plate, and I will say BART did not, and I have to say Samtrans did not. They worked with San Francisco in providing the transportation for AC East Bay Transit to come all the way into San Francisco to make it a seamless transportation. As opposed to Samtran, you have to meet at Stonestown, or you have to meet it here. And again, AC Transit will, East Bay will wait until that transfer there. Sam Trans will not. So I have to compliment, of all these years, AC Transit and Golden Gate Transit has really made it so much easier for us San Franciscans to visit the other side of the bay. And we really appreciate that very much. Now I want to ask, when are you guys going to start using taxis like we do over here? It'd be much easier. It's cheaper, more reliable, and the taxis definitely need the business.
Yeah, I can't answer that. But to your point regarding, and I'll make this quick, regarding going into San Francisco, you're absolutely right. Golden Gate Transit and AC Transit are not required to provide that service. So for them to accept to do that, they do have some buses that go into the San Francisco, so they have an area that they must accommodate for, but not all of San Francisco. So that's
primary
definitely
downtown.
commendable.
That's primary downtown because you're supposed to do a quarter mile on it, and then you had one that go down near the park, but you didn't have to do all the stuff you do, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah. But I can't speak on taxis though.
Joshua,
Yes?
did you want to run those 3 slides?
Yeah, just real quick. It was, I guess I can just mention them. It was regarding writing. Hold on. Here we go. Yeah, so just the face covering requirements, I just wanted to briefly mention when riding East Bay Paratransit. All riders must wear a hole and valve-free face and nose covering whenever riding on East Bay Paratransit. And it must completely cover the mouth, nose, and the chin and fit snugly against the sides of your face. Actually, I will just show a quick examples here where you can, you can see what's acceptable, and what's not. Just a face shield, goggles, or a mask with the little valve, having your nose out, none of that's acceptable. It must be worn appropriately. And also the drivers are also required to wear a face mask. And drivers are provided with PPE every day. And the buses are also disinfected daily once they return back to the yard. Some bus seats are blocked off to help ensure social distancing on board the vehicles. And also reservation agents remind passengers that they shouldn't travel if they've been sick or have been exposed to COVID-19. So those were the few things that I also wanted to mention.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Let me, cancel.
Thank you, everyone. Amazing presentations. I've learned so much about the transit system in the East Bay. I really appreciate everyone coming today. And do you have any contact information that you all want to drop in the chat before you go? Websites, customer service numbers. Is it possible the slides can be made available for us?
I do have your contact information. I can send you some stuff, yes.
Thank you.
I can send it to you and then you can distribute to whoever's interested.
Definitely. Because we're putting together our survival sheets, a digital publication of resources. So if you're okay with that or any part of your slideshow, or even just the right contact information where they can go for customer service, that would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Kim Ridgway. Thank you, Jasher. Thank you, Pyra.
I still don't believe Joshua and Kim is old enough to remember Francis.
I actually, I succeeded Francis. That's how.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So we worked together.
When
in
what,
his last
18 years old?
Am I 18?
When you were 18?
I'll take it. We'll go with that.
we got stories about Francis. Great guy. Well, thank you, folks. I'd like to
Thank
see
you
the
so
East Bay
much.
path.
Thank you all for
Mhm.
having us. And yes, I'll get the slides over to Regina today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, and that was really helpful information.
Yeah, extremely helpful.
Good. Take care.
Goodbye, everyone.
So for those of us who are left, thank you, Pi. You gonna hang out? You gonna hang around?
I'm going to hang out. I mean, I'm drifting, as you can see in the water. I'm drifting away a little bit, but I'm going to hang out still.
Okay, so for the last 10 minutes, we are going to do some breakout rooms. We're going to go into breakout rooms so that we can do some scenarios. Yes.
I see a question from Andrea. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna log off so I can call my owner back. He texted me a message.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
So do we really want to do breakout rooms?
Yeah, it looks like we don't need to. We can do it all here.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of transit, Cora has an important announcement about the 56.
Oh, of course.
Oh, what's going on with the 56?
They had took it away, and so it's being restored. It's a community bus, and it's in a hilly area, so it's highly important to have that for seniors and anyone that would need this service to make it more convenient in these trying times. So we still have work to do, but that's an accomplishment that they
So
shared.
did they reinstated it?
They were going to within a week or two. Basically, 2 weeks ago, I called up one of my insiders at the MTA. We meet once a month. And I was going to bring up the topic because we have members here that would like the 56 back. And she stopped me quickly and says, oh, no, we're going to bring it back.
Oh, wonderful. Yes.
Because I threatened her. I said, we're going to have to send Cora after you.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's a wonderful success story. That's amazing. Which opens up our, which is a good segue into our scenario question. So number one, you hear from a neighbor that AC Transit is planning to raise senior and disability fares by $10 a month for a bus pass. You are not happy with this news because it means you won't be able to afford to take the bus. What do you do? And what are some examples of collective action?
Yeah. Go.
So what would you do? What would you do, Cora?
Well, I'll just have a fainting attack and make it known. I will bring it to SDA, PI, all those involved persons to do a campaign to reverse that. Is what I would do. Because that's in time like these, that's a terrible thing to do, is to go up on the prices.
Go up on the fares.
Mhm.
So what would that collective action look like?
Well,
when you bring it to us, when you bring it to SDA, what does that look like?
it would look like a very issue that we need to get on top of immediately and get others to see it and support us in making the change to maybe not the fare go up as high as they predicted it to be.
Mhm.
And so whatever that, if they totally don't increase it or at least go half of whatever.
So what would that action be? Would it be writing letters? Would it be?
It could be letters or protests. It could be a
Protests?
town hall,
Okay,
whatever, to get their attention that we are dissatisfied with the fare raise.
thank you.
Would you write the letter, Cora?
Would I write a letter?
Yeah, I mean, would you write the letter?
Yes, I would.
Good.
I would present the letter and the group can add or take from.
Mhm.
Okay. Here's another scenario. Marta is 80 years old and has lived in the same apartment for the last 22 years. Her landlord has mentioned how much more he could rent her apartment for if she wasn't living in it. She worries she might get evicted. What is, oh, go ahead.
Well, we would check in with the rental board and we would use some of the same processes, do town halls, write letters, because it's unfair and it's bringing a hardship upon them. Mhm.
Thank you for that. June, do you have any suggestions?
No, I'm not using any of the transit at this moment, so I'm still driving, so I'm just learning how. I'm just listening. I'm thankful that you guys are doing something. I don't really have any suggestions, but I've heard about the transit and all, and from some clients that I used to work with, and they're kind of terrified about the transit because they think that one bad experience where a driver would just drop them off and then say they're going to come back at a certain time and they didn't show up for a couple hours, and they should just never forget that. And it's just, I don't know if that was a very good report. So I'm I don't know if that sometimes that does happen or whether it's because sometimes the driver just not compassionate, and maybe we say we're going to be there and then when we're not going to be there, and so those people are stuck sitting there in the waiting room for a couple hours. That is just from one of my clients, and she's just not going to, no matter what, to try to ease up on that, to give it another try. I do not know for myself, and I do all the driving. I'm thankful that I can still drive and go here and there, and so yes, thank you. The more power to those that are speaking out for those that don't have a vehicle.
Yeah, that's really important. Do you think in that case with your friend who you had mentioned that it would help to call the customer service number and speak to someone?
I don't know whether they did ever brought to that to customer service attention. I don't really know, but that was always the thing that I was always brought up because she would be frazzled if I suggested that to give us a break. You can take you can take the transit. I could put your name on it, and you just need to get up at the time when you made that appointment. Like he pointed out that they can only wait for 5 minutes. So that's pretty much that they it's like going to work. You have to be on time.
Yeah.
And
That's
if you cannot be on time, then it's going to be rough on the driver because his next stop might be behind.
Thank you for your input. I didn't know that you were a driver.
I drive driver for transit. No. I drive.
Oh.
I'm just saying that I'm still able to drive, right? I'm okay.
Oh, okay. I understand now. I understand.
This is Ray.
Yes, Ray.
Yes, I would like to go back to the scenario on transportation.
Yeah.
You know, I've never driven in my life. I've relied on public transportation, and I've always gone to the open forum meetings to keep bus lines open and available, and they've always been changed. But what I would like to do differently this time around, especially by raising senior and disabled bus passes each month, is finding out first when the date is going to be, letting organizations and individuals know that we could write letters and call before the meeting. And those that can attend the meetings, they know of us, that they received our calls or letters before, because sometimes I think their minds are already made up when the meetings are set, because they're letting everybody just get their opinions across. But just in my individual case, all the times I must have gone to about 5 or 6 different open forum meetings, and I've never had a bus line saved or individuals that I know around the area. And in defense of AC Transit, I live in the Tri-City area, which is Newark, Union City, and Fremont. And I noticed as you go north, there's more availability and there's longer hours for bus lines. So I can see both sides of the story, but temporarily, I haven't ridden any buses for 14 months since the pandemic, but they had a pilot program here in Newark called the Flex Bus, and also in Castro Valley, which were very successful. And the last meeting that I went to, they were thinking about closing down the Newark Union City Flex Bus, but keeping the Castro Valley Flex Bus because of the more ridership. So I just like to say that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that information. Where can we find out more about the Flex Bus? I didn't know anything about that.
I can let you know, because there's a number for reservations, but right before the pandemic, they were thinking about discontinuing the Flex Bus in the Newark Union City area. But like I said, I haven't been on any transportation in the last 14 months.
Yeah.
But I do have a contact number, and I can find out more information to see if it's still running or what they're deciding on doing.
Yeah, that's really good information. Thank you for that. I also like how you said the minute that you hear about it, to start to write the letters and call the organizations before the meetings are actually going to happen, so that you can get a jump on it and know that everything is time sensitive. Thank you for bringing that point into the
Thank
room.
you for everybody. Thank you for all the panelists today, and just the survival school in general.
Thank you. Thank you
Could
for
I
your
bring-
continued participation. Yes,
Can I
Pi?
bring bringing up the fare increase, it brings up the issue that, what was it, last summer, they were talking about increasing the muni fare, because it's a regular thing. It was part of their budget that every 2 years they increase the muni fare. And what we did, Cara was correct. One of the things we did a letter campaign We also went to the supervisors to discuss, because we knew a couple of supervisors were already on Muni's case regarding the services and fares, and discuss with them what they would plan on doing. We went to hearings that didn't talk about the fare increase, but we went to commented during the public hearing part of it. There was a couple other things I'm trying to remember. Jessica maybe remember, but we did a series of things. But we started out. Oh, we did an op-ed too. So we did op-ed. We had letters written to MTA. We went to MTA board hearing, and some went to the Board of Supervisor hearing meetings. And we talked, as Ray said, we talked to key people ahead of the when they're going to make the decision, and see where their stance was, and see how we can get them involved with it. Because Board of Supervisors, for instance, don't have direct say on it, but at least they have some influence. So we targeted them. So what
That's all
your
good information.
scenario you brought up is very relevant in what we've done in the past.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to being a part of it, so I'm not just reading it on paper and hearing about it. Thank you. I know that's one level of immersion, but I'm really looking forward to being part of the upcoming actions, for sure.
Jessica, did you hear that? She wants me to bend her ear.
Thank you, everyone. So that concludes our next to last session of the Survival School series today. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you
And
for doing this.
thank you for showing up. I really appreciate what you brought to the table. I had no idea about the flex streets or the shared spaces. Thank you, Rhea. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you, Cora. Congratulations on the 56 line. Thank you, Ray, for your contribution and your consistent attendance. And thank you, June, for coming every session.
Oh, thank you.
Jessica. Thank you, Jessica, for always making sure you're able to come.
I'm learning
Yes.
so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really informative. I'm excited about the services and resources that we've been able to unearth for the East Bay participants. All right, thank you,
Yeah, awesome.
everyone.
And
Have a
thank
great
you,
day.
Regina.
Okay.
See you all on Thursday.
Take care, everybody.
All right, bye, Ray. Bye, Cora.
Thank you.
Bye, June.
Bye.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Regina, if you have
Wow.
a second, I have
My
something.
ride
I'd
is
like to
waiting.
say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye,
Cora.
Cora.
Thank you.
Bye, Ray. Bye,
Bye,
June.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, Pyra.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna stop recording too.
Okay.